Paige, your coach has tied a record tonight. There's going to be another chance to play for him to own the record outright for coaching victories in Division I. I mean, it's kind of a normal. You guys have dealt with this, a couple games now. Does it matter much to you guys with what you're doing on the court, or is there excitement about earning a record like that for your coach?
Well, we really play to make him happy, so to be a part of this, he's breaking records left and right, and it's the reason why he came to UConn to play under him, so it's been a dream come true, and we're super proud of him. I know he doesn't talk about himself too much, just a little bit, so to be a part of this, it's amazing, and it speaks to the longevity of what he's built here at UConn, the history, the players, the success, the national championships. So it means everything to play for UConn and play for him.
Sarah, how special was tonight being the homecoming for you? Live too far from here. I'm sure there's a lot of family and friends in the crowd. You have a great game, 14 points, 13 rebounds. I think you had 6 assists as well. Talk to me about how special that night was for you.
Yeah, it was great. My friends were texting me saying they were coming, so I was really excited to see, old school friends and teachers and just people I haven't seen in a while. But it was great environment, and we came out to win, which was good.
Sarah, did you grow up coming to games in the Greensboro Coliseum, ACC tournament, or anything like that?
I did not know.
No. What was it? I mean, I know North Carolina recruited you hard. What was it like playing against those players that you guys spent a little bit of time with last year?
It was good. It was a lot of fun. Playing against Blanca was fun. We played, growing up, and playing against Coach Banghart was also good.
Paige, did they do anything differently on you in the second half, or was it you or after the second quarter, or was it you more trying to get teammates involved as well?
It switched to a zone, and so they had different looks to throw at us. It was like a 1-2-2 or a 3-2. So it definitely switched things up for us offensively and how we were trying to attack, get the ball in the middle, and then pick them apart from there. So I think that was the main adjustment that they made.
Paige, you explained a lot of just like chippiness tonight and aggressiveness tonight. I know you want to bring that in a lot this season. Is it feeling more natural to you now that you're 3 games into the year?
Yeah, I think we're just trying to set the tone as a team of how we come out strong to start games. I think we did a great job against Boston, South Florida, and on a test on the road like this against a really great team. We just continue to try to set the tone for what we're going to play and look like the entire season. So starting off aggressive at the tip, but also carrying it out through the entire 40 minutes is huge.
Paige, I saw a sign in the Jumbotron that said Tar Heel, born and raised, and there was like a checklist at the bottom that said Paige Bueckers obsessed. I think your effect outside of the court, even for your opponents, is something that's well chronicled. Can you talk about like how that makes you feel? Like obviously people think you're amazing. Courtney Vanguard came out here and said it's a pleasure to play against you. How do you respond to stuff like that?
It's a blessing. I was just the young kid in the stands with a sign at the Minnesota Lynx games, looking up to those players. So for me to be in these shoes, it's surreal and it's a blessing, and I'm super grateful for it, and I never want to take it for granted. I know Kobe had a great quote, like every single time you play, there's somebody new watching in the stands. So continue to try to live it out and have fun playing the game of basketball, and being a great role model on and off the court is very important to me. And so I never want to take it for granted and just be grateful for it.
Sarah, you're 3 games in now playing at Paige. Just what's it like playing with her on the court?
Yeah, playing with her is great. She's a great leader. She gives great advice and just holds people accountable.
Sarah,
Okay.
Sarah, you had 5 blocks, 11 defensive rebounds tonight. Just how did you feel like you handled the defensive matchup with their post players, especially with how experienced they were?
Yeah, we've been focusing on that in practice, so I tried to show that to them. Okay.
Y'all both kind of touched on it, but not the Greensboro is a really random city, especially for you serving from Durham. But what was it like? And I know you guys get fans everywhere, but having a crowd like this on kind of a random Friday in November, an hour from UNC's campus, but kind of neutral-ish site, seeing so many people in the stands.
It was an amazing environment to be a part of. Obviously, it was a lot more North Carolina fans than UConn, but you just love the environment, love what women's basketball has continued to do. To have, I know it wasn't at Chapel Hill, but to still the support to come an hour away in just an environment like this with two great teams playing basketball. It was just awesome to be a part of.
Paige, even as UNC threw different looks on the defensive end at you still like never seemed flustered. How do you stay patient on offense, even when you're facing all these different types of coverages?
Definitely comes with experience, but comes with like reps in practice and confidence in that way. Just seeing a lot of different looks, just slowing down, letting the game come to me. It's easy to get flustered when things change, they go on a run, they switch up the defense, but just trying to remain calm and have a calming presence and help us get into our offensive flow regardless of what the other team is doing. I think we're more focused on what we look like and what we can do rather than what the opponent is doing.
Paige, like you said, you're the most experienced player on this team. You came back with the hopes of winning the title. Is it hard kind of continuing to carry that pressure into the year amid all like the outside noise and just like going through game by game trying to be successful?
No, I think just leaning on my teammates, leaning on the coaching staff who have been in this position before, and you're only as good as the day you just had. So just trying to win the day, conquer the day, whether it be in the weight room, at practice, during a game, just continue to try to get better. Myself included, just trying to hold myself accountable and then be able to trickle that down to my teammates, but not getting too far focused on the future, but staying focused on the process and how we're going to get there, I think is kept me grounded.
What are some of the ways you've taken care of yourself off the court, just keep your mental in state?
Actually talking to a sports psychologist, I think that's done a lot for my mental approach to basketball and just continue to grow my mind and living in the moment, I think is the biggest thing. Not the past can't do anything for you, the future isn't here yet, so just staying in the moment and trying to capture every moment and enjoy it and be the best in that moment, I think has been huge.
Thanks, Sarah and Paige. You can come down and move to questions for Coach.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, you good? You have any more?
Thank you.
Thank you. Coach,
What's up?
congratulations, 40
Thank you.
some odd years. You probably don't remember the year, but you coached me in 1981.
I know, it's 1981, I know. I remember.
I know you have, hi there. I know you have a lot of other interests besides basketball, but did you ever think it would go this long?
No. I never intended for it to go. It was a favor that I did for somebody, and that turned into like a hobby, something to do, pass the time. Then it just became all this, so it wasn't, and I had never envisioned it lasting this long. I don't think anybody goes into anything thinking that they're going to spend 40 years of their life at one place doing the exact same thing. So, it's just the best way I can describe it. It just caught up to me. It just happened. It just happened. The crazy thing is, I'm sitting here in Greensboro, and my 4 years at UVA and coming down here all the time and getting a chance to see all those great teams that played in the ACC between 81 and 85. Some of the best players ever to play. Men's and women's basketball in a lot of ways. And when someone told me about leaving Philadelphia and coming down to ACC World, and I always thought that the only people that knew how to play basketball or coach basketball were Philadelphia Big Five coaches and players, and Philadelphia Catholic League and public league coaches and players. And it was a real eye-opener for me to come down and see it all firsthand with my own eyes, the incredible the coaching that existed down here during that time probably inspired me more I learned more probably during those 4 years than I have in any other time in my life. And it's funny that I'm sitting behind this mic with the, UNC logo on it, because there was so much that that you could learn just by watching the way Coach Smith ran his program, and for how long and how they were the same every year. The players changed, but everything else stayed the same. They did it the same way for a long, long time. And I always admired that, but I never thought I'd be, I'd be doing it that long. But I always admired it from afar, for sure.
Geno, Courtney said you deserve your flowers for the career you've had already, but tonight you're tying a Division I record. You have a chance to break it, but it's November and you're worried about building a team. I guess, have you kind of balanced that part of, it's kind of a cool moment, but there's a long way to go in this season?
Yeah, I don't really put too much into the individual part of it, because there's been so many there's been so many things that have happened over the 40 years. I told the team, I don't know, I've coached about 160 players or something like that. I don't know, maybe more. But these particular players, they're not really here for the record. They're not really here for, hey, I was part of winning. They didn't win all these games. They just won a small piece of it. They came here for their own goals, for their own aspirations, for what they want. So I've tried to keep the focus on how do I make them, better, able to go get what they want. And if in the meantime, this stuff happens, that's great. But Ice Brady needed to play a game like this to prove to herself that she can be, super impactful in a game like this. Sarah needed to experience this and what it feels like in a big game, because we're going to need it down the road. So I'm more of, how do I put them in position so that they can feel like I feel like I've been very fortunate to get a lot of things come my way, and they came hoping to get some of those things. So I just keep the focus on that all the time, and whatever happens on my end happens. Yeah, that's about it.
Coach, Chris Daly's been with you for 40 years. Since we want to keep the attention off you, even though you tied a record, can you talk about what she means to you? I think we talked about it. She's 17-0, taking over for you. Is that more impressive than your 1,216 wins? Being undefeated?
If you ask her, yes. She will tell you that. That she's undefeated and that her percentage is way higher than mine. When we started coaching together, we didn't have anyone else that we could rely on to help us in the moment build what we were trying to build. And we didn't even know what we were trying to build. We were just trying to not finish last. All right, we were trying not to finish last in the Big East. We just wanted to finish somewhere between 7 and 5. Like, if we could do that, we thought that would be a huge win. And we relied on each other for everything, We were the ticket office, we were the recruiting coordinators, we were the media people, we were the recruiting people, we were the coaching people. Anything that had to be done, we had to do it. So if you think about it, in building an organization, that's a lot of responsibility, and she was very, very, very good at handling all that, and still is today. And I don't know that you can build something like this without somebody like her. It just would not have been possible. It may have taken 10 other people that would have done, a bunch of those things, but I know if she wasn't there and wasn't a part of it, I don't know that it would have lasted this long. No, it would not have. I can pretty much guarantee that.
You said it's important for Sarah to have this game like she did today in front of the crowd she had against the opponent. Why is it so important to have this early in the season?
I mean, they're going to come regardless. So that's just the way the schedule fell. She's a young kid, as you can tell. She her game is much more mature than, much older than she is. So she needed to feel what it feels like to have a lot of pressure on you, because a lot of freshmen, when they go to college, they don't expect that, right? They just go, oh yeah, I'm going to go to UConn. I'll play my role and just fit in, and then as I get older, I'll do more. And then all of a sudden, you're thrown into a situation where you have to do more, like right now. And I'm glad that she shot it lousy. I'm glad she didn't play like a senior or, the National Player of the Year. I'm glad she didn't do that, because that would have been impossible to live up to. So there's so many things that she's going to look at this film and realize, there's so much more that I can do. So I think it was the perfect learning experience for her. Enough success and enough to remind her.
Courtney just came in here and described Paige as generational, which gets thrown around a lot. But for her, I mean, what makes that ring true for you when you hear people describe her as a generational?
Who's that?
Paige.
Yeah, well, I've been around a lot of generations, so I've had a lot of generational players that people described as generational, and I guess it's true. Our 40 years have included quite a number of players that were labeled generational. But I don't know that you accomplish all this without those people. So what makes them that? The ability to perform at an incredibly high level, and an even higher level than you expect. And you already expect the most. And yet she gives you even more than that. And I think that's probably the best description I can give you, is that she never fails to live up to your expectations of her, and then even goes above that. Some people just are born with that gift, and she has that gift. Some people squander those gifts, and she every day works really, really hard to polish those gifts, and it's taken her here, and she's got a long way to go still. There's a lot that she's not accomplished yet, but I really do believe that unless you foul her every time, that's the only way that you're going to stop her from doing what she wants to do. That's it. I mean, I watch her in practice. I watch her play against, better players than she'll ever play against, probably. And I think she's the most difficult player to guard in America. And unfortunately, there may be nights like tonight when she's going to have to be. We started running every play for her there for a while. In the third quarter, I think it was, or early fourth quarter.
Geno, you mentioned generational players. One of your former players was, I think, announced tonight for the Women's Basketball Hall of Fame, and Sue Bird. Just kind of your thoughts of seeing her get that honor.
Yeah. The interesting thing, though, is when Sue was coming out of high school, nobody called her a generational player. They just said, wow, this kid's a really good player. They didn't have she didn't have the hype like Diana did, Maya did, Stewie did, Paige did, Tina Charles did. She didn't have any of that hype. Everybody just said she's a really solid, really good point guard, because she always played for other, for her teammates. So she was never out there trying to, prove that I'm the best player in the country. Yet she played with nothing but superstars at UConn, and no one else could have been able to handle that and keep it all together the way she did. I mean, she played alongside Dee for 2 years. Nobody deserves that. And yet she managed to be the brains behind the curtain, and just made sure that everything went exactly the way it was supposed to go. And then she did that in the WNBA, she did that in the Olympics, and did it better than anybody's ever done it. So there's not been a point guard played the game of women's basketball that's played it better or longer or had more success.
Coach, Courtney talked about your legacy in the championships and that you should be proud that now it's not necessarily just a two-team race, and that's one way that she encapsulated your legacy along with CD. I mean, is that how you see it? You'll have a chance to go back to UConn and celebrate properly 40 years. What are the things that stand out to you, and is that a part of it?
I think Courtney maybe was also referring to back in the day when it was all about UConn, Tennessee, to the point where an awful lot of people around the country, they didn't like either of us, and they would hope anybody could win a championship except UConn or Tennessee, and they would have been happy if their worst enemy won a national championship, as long as it wasn't UConn or Tennessee. But I think what happened was, over the years, I think we created an environment where athletic directors, university presidents, were able to look at what we did and what we were doing and ask their coaches and their administration, like, why can't we do that? And in the beginning it was because we don't want to. They want to do it. They did it because they want to. We don't want to. And that's the only reason why it didn't happen. They didn't want to. Because they certainly have way more resources than we did. So I think over a period of time, we made it so they had to do it. Because it just meant too much to everybody, and the players demanded it. Players coming out of high school demanded it. College kids playing in college demanded it. There was a path to the WNBA, so that demanded it. And look at today, it's not about UConn and Tennessee. It's about all these teams that have won national championships since the last time UConn and Tennessee have won a national championship. That never happened before. That many different teams would win. So I think that's something that I know CD and I are exceptionally proud of, that we had a hand in that. And wherever we went, we tried to help grow the game. We never turned down an opportunity to go play anybody, anywhere. And you see the results of that today. We played here in the NCAA tournament in 2008, and we beat Rutgers to go to the Final Four. There weren't 10,000 people in the stands, I don't think. So here's just a regular season game on a Friday night, and you have this. So a lot's changed, and we're proud of our part of it.
Anything else for Coach?
Coach, Courtney talked about when she was a graduate student at Dartmouth, coming to interview you for her thesis about coaching as a vocation. That was, I don't know, 15, 20 years ago now. But she said what she learned from you was that, authenticity is the best superpower. Do you remember a young Courtney Bankert coming to talk to you, and what do you think about sort of her takeaway from that conversation? conversation?
Well, her being at Dartmouth, it took me a while to understand some of the words she was using. I'm an Italian kid from Norristown, so there was a failure to communicate there for a little bit. But kids like Courtney, and she certainly was this, they come with such big eyes and big dreams and big ideas, and they're just looking to get pointed in the right direction, you know? And it's great when people have that kind of passion for what they do and identify, this is what I want to do. And I did tell her that too many times people try to be like somebody that's really successful. And it doesn't work because you can't keep up that facade forever. You know, it's going to melt and people are going to see through you. And I do believe that she's done that to a great extent. And to be authentic, I think is the number one quality that you have to have. You know, and I tried to explain that to all the young people that come up to school and talk about. Sometimes they expect to find this magic formula, you know, like, oh, if I just run these drills, you know, it'll be like that, or if I run these plays, it'll be really, you know. And in reality, this is what I believe, this is how I'm gonna do it, this is who I am, and I'm gonna do it my way. And I'm gonna take a little bit from this and a little bit from Coach, Auriemma, and a little bit from Coach Vanderveer, or a little bit from, Dawn Staley, or whoever is coaching at that time, and just go and then meld it into who you are. I think too many people I want to try to be like him, or I want to be like her, and then they lose themselves. She's been able to stay both at Princeton and, and here at Carolina. And I admire coaches that can do that. They're not fake, there's a realness about them. She's a good kid, and she's done a great job, and she'll continue to do well here.